Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to learn about the disk structure in the operating systems. See, in the case of the memory management system, in the while paging and segmentation, we have seen the importance of the hard disk, right? So we are going to swap some of the uh, pages from the main memory to the secondary memory, right? And since the size of the main memory is limited, we are going to maintain the some pages in secondary storage devices. Okay, and whenever a process is needed for execution, we are going to fetch that particular program from the secondary memory to main memory for execution, right? So like that we are going to swap out the process from main memory to secondary memory and swap in the process from secondary memory to main memory. Okay, so like this we are using the secondary storage devices in both in the paging and segmentation. Okay, and since the secondary storage device space is very larger compared to the main memory. Okay, so that's why, the secondary storage device, that is the hard disk, is very important for storing the data. Okay, so in the olden days, magnetic tapes were used for bulk storage, but nowadays hard disks are being used. So because the access time is very less than the tapes, thus the tapes are currently used mainly for backup, for storage of infrequently used information. So nowadays hard disk, the disks are mostly used compared to the magnetic tapes. Okay, and in terms of accessing the uh, hard disk, it is very easier compared to the magnetic tapes. Okay, so in the case of magnetic tapes, the storage and the storage allocation is in the format of serial sequential format, and if you want to access particular block from the magnetic tapes, it is difficult to uh, fetch the data. If you have seen the tape recorders, so if you observe the cassette, if you want to go to the particular song, we have to rewind the you have to rewind the tape recorder, right? So it will be very difficult to um, move from one song to, if you want to play a song, it will be very difficult to traverse from uh, one storage location to another storage location, right? Okay, so it will be very difficult to switch from one song to another song. If you want to jump to the particular song, so it will be very difficult when accessing the tapes. So the example is the tape recorder. But if you see the discs, so it is very easier to access the particular location in the discs. Okay, if you want to play particular song in the CD, then it is very easy, right? So you can go to the particular track and you can play the music. So that is the difference between the disc and the magnetic tapes. So that's why a disc is mostly used compared to the magnetic tapes. Okay, so coming to the disk structure. Okay, so here a hard disk is a collection of platters. So each disk platter has a flat circular shape like a compact disk. Right, we have known about the example, right? Compact disk. So the disk will be similar to the compact disk. So in the case of the hard disk, a multiple number of compact disks are placed on a spindle. So it will appear like that. Okay, and common platter diameter range from 1.8 to 5.25 inches. Okay, so it ranges from 1.8 to 5.25 inches. The two surfaces of a platter are covered with the magnetic material, so we store the information by recording it magnetically on the platters. Okay, so how the platter looks like means, so this is the platter. So here in a compact disc there are multiple number of platters placed on each other in the form of a stack. Okay, so it will be placed on each other in the form of a stack on a common spindle, and this platter diameter range from 1.8 to 5.25 inches. Okay, and there is two surfaces for the particular compact disc, that is the top surface and the down surface. Okay, we are having the two types of surfaces for the platter, that is the top surface and down surface. Okay, and here the data is stored in the format of the one-dimensional array of logical blocks that is mapped into the sectors of the disk sequentially. Okay, so before going to know about this, so first of all, what is a sector and what is a track? Okay, see here in the picture we have seen, you can observe so there are multiple number of platters, so platters placed on each other in the case of the hard disk. Okay, and each plotter is divided into number of tracks. Okay, so it is divided into multiple number of tracks here, so like this, like circular rings. So tracks are the circular rings here. Okay, so each plotter is divided into multiple number of tracks, and tracks are again divided into multiple number of sectors here. Okay, so this is again divided into sectors. Okay, so each plotter is going to have two types of surfaces, that is top surface and down surface. So here a read write head is placed on the plotter. So if you want to access the data on the disk, so then the read write head is placed on that particular place and the data is accessed. Okay, so we are going to store the information by recording it magnetically on the platters. Okay, so a read write head located above each surface of every plotter. The plotter, it logically is divided into number of tracks. Okay, the circular rings are called as tracks. Okay, top tracks that are at one arm position forms a cylinder. Okay, so here in the case of the plotter, there are multiple number of tracks and sectors, right? So if you see in the top surface there are some tracks, and in the bottom surface also there are some tracks. Okay, tracks and sectors. So if a read write head is placed on the particular plotter, then some set of uh, tracks and if a read write head is placed on a particular position in the plotter, then the set of tracks that are pointed by the read write head is called as a cylinder. Okay, so the tracks may be on the top surface and the bottom surface. Okay, so the set of tracks that are at the one arm position of the read write head, so both at the top and down bottom surface is called as it forms as a cylinder, and the heads are attached to a disc arm here. Okay, the read write head is attached to a disc arm, so the heads are attached to a disc arm here. So which all the heads are as a unit it is going to copy. So here the storage capacity of a common disk drive is measured in the gigabytes. Okay, so it is measured as gigabytes. So this is how the hard disk is appearing in the system. Okay, so this is the hard disk. So here the hard disk will be similar to the gramophone. So it is a very good example. Okay, so in the case of a gramophone, so in the olden days people were using the gramophone, right? So if they want to play a particular song, they used to play some disc on the gramophone, and the read write header will be placed on that particular disc. Then the song will start playing, right? So similarly here in the case of the hard disk, so there are the plotters, multiple number of plotters here. So multiple number of plotters are placed, okay, on each other, and a read write head is placed on the plotter. So when it is placed, it is pointing to a particular location, so the data is accessed from that location and it is accessed here. So it can perform, so the read write head can perform the read or write operation on the particular location in the plotter. Okay, so to access the data, the disk will rotate and the plotter moves to and fro on the disk. Okay, so if there is a need to perform the read write operation on the plotter, then the read write head will move on the plotters. Okay, and it will access the data on the hard disk. Okay, so how to calculate the data size? Okay, so how to calculate the data size at the particular location? So that we are going to calculate by plotter. So data size is equal to plotter into surface into track into sectors into data. Okay, so here the data size equals to, so number of bits required to represent the disk size, so will be represented with this formula. It is suppose if you want to access a particular location on the disk, then so it will, how we are going to access the data? So that is, first of all we are going to select the particular plotter in the hard disk, and then we are going to point to the surface, that is top surface or bottom surface. Okay, and then we are going to point the track, right? So there are number of tracks in the plotter. Okay, and then we are going to go to the sectors. Okay, and then we are going and then the OS is going to point to the particular particular data location on the hard disk, and the data is accessed here. Okay, so number of bits required to, so the data size is represented with this formula here. Okay, so here there is a disk structure. So the data is stored in the format of a one-dimensional array of logical blocks in the sectors of the disk sequentially. That means data is stored in the format of a, so here data is stored in the format of a sequential one-dimensional array logical blocks, right? So if data must be copied on the hard, then it is going to select a particular sector in the, right, it is going to select the select, and then it is going to copy the data in the format of one-dimensional array in this particular sector. Okay, the sector 0 is the first sector of the first track on the outermost cylinder. Okay, so mapping proceeds in order through the track, then the rest of the tracks in that cylinder, and then through the rest of the cylinders. So here the data is copied in the format of, so first it is going to copy the data in the outermost sector of in the first track. Okay, it is going to copy the data in the, so here if you take, it is going to copy the data in the outermost sector of the inner track. Okay, so first it is going to copy the data in outermost sector, and then in the innermost, and then the innermost. So next it is going to take another sector, and it is going to copy the data in the outermost sector, and then innermost sector, and then innermost. So in the format of a one-dimensional logical array. Okay, like that the data is stored in the plotter. So next one is the disk scheduling. Okay, so now we have seen the how the disk is how the data is copied to the disk. So disk scheduling. So a process needs two types of time, that is the CPU time and input output time. So for input output, it requires the OS to access the disk. Okay, so in the previous videos we have seen the how the CPU time is utilized by the CPU, right? So in the case of the round robin scheduling, FCFS scheduling algorithms, so we have seen the importance of the CPU time. So how we are going to increase the CPU performance, right, by making the CPU busy with the number of process, right? So now here we are going to know about the input output time for the disk scheduling. Okay, so generally we know that uh, the structure of the operating system is so the user and then operating system, and then so innermost one is the hardware, right? User, operating system and hardware. So user is not going to directly interact with the hardware, so he is going to interact with the through the operating system applications to the hardware, right? So with the help of the user means here applications, right? So with the help of the applications, user is going to interact with the operating system, and so he is controlling the hardware. That means he is going to perform any task that he wants to with the hardware devices. Okay, so first of all here, suppose a user wants to perform three tasks here, that is uh, playing a movie and taking a printout and editing a document. Okay, so first of all he wants to take a printout. First of all he wants to edit the document and take a printout. Okay, and then he wants to play a movie. So these are the number of requests from the user. Okay, so then actually the program will be stored, any document will be stored in the hard disk, right? So any program or any document, any data will be stored in the hard disk. Okay, so here in order to access the data is present in the hard disk, so first of all user is going to interact with the hardware. So he cannot directly interact with the hardware, so through the operating system, so he is going to interact with the hardware. So a user is going to interact with the hardware, that is the storage here, right? With the hard disk he is going to interact with the help of the operating system. Okay, so he is going to interact with the hard disk with the operating system. So he wants to first of all fetch a particular document in the present in the hard disk, that is he wants to edit a document. Okay, so edit a document, and then he wants to take a printout here. Okay, so here hard disk is a hard disk is a hardware device, and the printer is a hardware device, and so if you want hardware device. Okay, so he is not going to directly interact with the hardware device. With the help of the OS, he is going to perform this task. Okay, so first of all he will edit a, so these are some of the requests, that is editing a document, taking a printout, and playing a movie. So these are the sum of requests for the hard disk. So a document is there in the hard disk, and he wants to take a printout which is there in the hard disk, and then he want to play a movie which which is in the hard disk. Okay, so these are the sum of request from the user to the hard disk. Okay, so first of all he will edit a document, and then he will take the printout of the document, and then he is going to play the movie present in the hard disk. Okay, so these are some of the requests from the user to the operating system from the, so which must be done from the hard disk. Okay, so here we are having the three types of request. So the technique that operating system uses to determine the request which is to be satisfied next is called as disk scheduling, right? So here we are having the three requests, right? That is operating system, the user has to play a movie, edit a document, and take a printout. So the order, so in which order the OS has to request the particular, the OS has to satisfy the particular request from the user is called as a disk scheduling. So here we are having the three types of request. So in which order they must be satisfied is taken by the OS. Okay. So operating system must maintain the efficiency and speed of the process execution. Okay. So here our OS will maintain the efficiency and speed of the process execution. So before going to know about the disk scheduling algorithms, so let us know about the key concepts here. The seek time. Seek time is a time taken in locating the disk arm to the specified track where the read or write request will be satisfied. Okay. So when the disk is in use, a drive motor will spin. A drive motor will spin the plotters in the high speed. So most drives rotate in the speed of 60 to 150 times per second. So to read or write the head, to read or write, the head must be positioned at the desired track and at the beginning of the desired sector on the track. Okay. So the time it takes to position the head at the desired track is called as a seek time. So in the case of the seek time, so here this is the plotter. Okay, so it is divided into tracks and sectors, right? Okay, so in order to perform a read or write operation, okay, so the read write head must be placed on the plotter. So the time it takes, the time the read write header takes to access the particular track is called as a seek time. So first of all, so we are going to place it on the track. Okay, track 1 or track 2 like that, and then the time taken to access the particular track is called as a seek time. Okay, so the next one is the rotational latency. So it is the time taken by the desired sector to rotate itself to position from where it can access the read or write heads. Okay, so once the track is selected here in the seek time, we have selected the track, right? So this is the plotter. So we have selected the track. So in this particular track, we have to access the data. So rotational latency or rotational delay or latency time is, so once the track is selected here, the disk controller waits until the desired sector reaches the read write head. So first the track is selected here and then sector is selected here. Okay, so time taken by the read write head to reach the desired sector is called as the rotational latency. And the transfer time, the time taken to transfer the data from the particular location on the plotter, okay, is called as the transfer time. So the sum of the seek time and rotational latency is called as the access time. So it is the sum of the seek time and the rotational latency. So when the desired sector is reached, the read write head, then the real data transferring will start. Okay, so when the desired sector is reached here after the rotational latency, then the data is transferred. Okay, so next one, the disk access time. So we have known that, so disk access time means so rotational latency plus seek time plus transfer time. Okay, so first of all, the disk will rotate. Okay, so when the read write head is placed, the disk will rotate. Okay, and then so first of all it will reach the track, it will select a particular track here. Okay, and then it will select the sector. Suppose the data is present in the 1 and sector 0. Okay, okay, track 1 and sector 0. So here this is the, so first of all it is going to select the track. So here the data is in the track 1 and sector 0. Okay, so this is the track 1, okay, and sector 0. So this is the sector 0. So in this particular location the data is available. So first of all it will select the track. So that is called as a seek time. The read write head takes some amount of time to reach the particular track. So that is called as the seek time. And then it will select particular sector here. So that is called as the rotational latency. And the data in the particular location, that is the track 1 and sector 0, is transferred to the CPU. Okay, to the main memory it is transferred. So that is called as the access time, that is called as the transfer time or access time. So disk access time equals rotational latency plus seek time plus transfer time. And the next one is the disk response time. So it is the average amount of time spent by each request waiting for the input output operation. So it is the average time spent by each request waiting for the input output operation, right? So in the previous example we have seen that there are 3 requests. Okay, so what is the amount of time spent for each and every request for the input output operation? So what is the amount of time so spent for each and every request from the user on the input output devices is called as the disk response time. So this is about the disk structure and the main basic concepts of the disk structure. Thanks for watching my video. Thank you.